Live from Abilene's first news station, Big Country Proud. This is KRBC, Abilene's local news weekend.
Good evening. Thanks for tuning in to KRBC News at 10. I'm Dan Booth. Our top story tonight, another state began vaccinating the general public today, and there were issues there too. Across the country, those desperate to get the COVID vaccine are finding long lines and short supplies. NBC's Sam Brock reports.
In a country overwhelmed by COVID, sweeping vaccine demand has spawned massive logjams like this one. Houston unveiling its first vaccine clinic today. Hours later, call centers were swamped.
I counted on my phone over 400 calls that I tried to get through and never got through.
He's 76 years old and got issues, so we need to be in this line.
Spanning from Texas to Florida, seniors waiting in line for hours.
There was like people in front of me in their late 80s and they could hardly walk, and they were sitting out there that whole time too.
And in Tennessee, the police actually had to turn people away.
Some of us are getting the car and pulling along the curb and just sitting in the car to try to stay warm and not get tired.
Yet despite the desperation, the national figures for vaccinations are stunningly short of expectations. The federal government promised 20 million immunized by year's end, but a CDC dashboard shows more than 14 million doses distributed and fewer than 3 million vaccinations. A reality Utah Senator Mitt Romney calls inexcusable.
We have people who will die needlessly if we're not able to get vaccines out as quickly as humanly possible. And we're just not seeing that.
Amidst the frustration, feelings of joy, too, as Dr. Keisha Raphael of Memorial Healthcare System in Florida becomes one of the first frontline workers in the country to get her second dose.
Is there anything you would want to say to the general public just about this process?
I think having apprehension is normal, but the main thing we need to do is come together as a nation to get rid of this virus. And the way that we do that is to do it through this vaccination.
An hour later, Dr. Randy Katz also joined the rare group of doctors and nurses with 2 doses. As many Americans and even healthcare workers show hesitance, the Riverside County Public Health Director in California saying half of frontline workers there have refused the vaccine.
It's extremely important that we get out there and set an example and show people that this is a safe vaccine and the virus is a deadly virus. I've seen what it can do to patients and people.
Thank you, Sam. Now let's get to the first check of the forecast. Dylan, what can we expect for the rest of the weekend and the upcoming work week?
Well, if you like today, you'll like tomorrow, and you'll like the next few days as well. Temperatures in the afternoon hours back up into the 50s and lower 60s by early to middle of next week. So we do have some warmer temperatures ahead, plenty of sunshine as well, but it still might be a little on the cool side, still some light jacket or even sweatshirt weather across the area for at least the next couple of days. Winds are picking up with still a pretty dry forecast. However, the rainfall and snowfall that we saw on just a couple of days ago, that actually helped boost our end-of-year rainfall totals for 2020, which actually got us back to above seasonal rainfall totals for the year. So that is a very good fact for that. But for now, what's going on? Not a whole lot. We're looking at pretty quiet skies all across the entire state and the big country. No changes there since this morning or even since last night for the matter. Temperatures are dropping though. We're in the mid-40s out there for Abilene and a lot of the big country for your Sunday, getting back up into the mid to upper 50s. So a beautiful day, pleasant temperatures, very sunny and a little bit warmer than today. So light breeze throughout the day. I'd recommend a light jacket or a sweater, but otherwise a beautiful day to be outside, especially in the sunshine. Dan?
Thank you, Dylan. Some Republican senators are taking new measures to once again challenge the presidential election results. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell has the latest.
Tonight, a striking new measure of President Trump's grip on Republican power. 11 GOP senators and senators-elect, led by Ted Cruz of Texas, say they will object when Congress meets to certify Joe Biden's Electoral College victory in a traditional Capitol Hill ceremony this Wednesday. And the Republican senators are making a new demand that Congress appoint an electoral commission to conduct an emergency 10-day audit of the election returns in what they refer to as the disputed states, but did not name them. The move channels President Trump's unproven allegations.
We cannot allow a completely fraudulent election to stand.
But the courts already rejected numerous claims, and all states certified their own results.
The integrity of our elections remains intact.
Today's new act of Trump loyalty follows Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, who also announced his own plan to object to the certification in order to trigger congressional debate and a series of separate votes. Democrats call these plans outrageous and doomed to fail.
Everyone should understand they will not be successful at overturning the results of the election. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be sworn in on January 20th.
The Cruz Group acknowledged the risks, writing, "We are not naive," while claiming this defense of their motives. "We are acting not to thwart the democratic process, but rather to protect it." Tonight, the Biden transition responded. These baseless claims have already been examined and dismissed by Trump's own attorney general, dozens of courts, and election officials from both parties.
Thank you, Kelly. Back to the Lone Star State, where the University Health Transplant Center in San Antonio is celebrating its 5,000th successful kidney transplant. Maggie Glynn has a story of a 14-year-old Texan who received a new kidney this holiday season.
I was kind of like excited, I guess, and also nervous at the same time.
Hayes Atkins was the 5,000th patient in a half-century to receive a kidney transplant through the University Health Transplant Center.
We got the best surgeons.
It's something he's known needed to happen.
I mean, we've known since he was born that his kidneys were affected by issues at birth.
But what the Atkins family didn't know is that his mom was the perfect match.
You know, people keep saying, I can't, amazing that you did this. I think any mother would have jumped in and done the exact same thing.
She donated her kidney in November, but in the midst of the pandemic, faced some special circumstances.
That was the first thing we did when we got here the day before surgery, is that they both got a COVID test.
And receiving the kidney in the year 2020 is something that will not go unappreciated.
There's a lot of people hurting out there. We were thankful that we could get in here and get the surgery done and get home and recover, during the holidays.
I won't have to take the nasty medicines that I used to take. And I'm more energetic, and I'll start to grow more. So that's good.
The team of surgeons who made the transplant possible was the hospital's first all-female surgeon team. Coming up on your local news, we'll dive into some more of the positive stories from across the big country in 2020.
Plus, as we move ahead into your rest of the first weekend of 2020, and next week temperatures are on a slow warm up before our next cold front. I'll have a look at that coming up next.
You're watching KRBC, Abilene's local news weekend.
Even through times of darkness, this year the Key City
Now, this is your KRBC Storm Track weather forecast from Chief Meteorologist Dylan Smith. Sponsored by First Bank Texas.
We got another brief taste of winter just a couple of nights ago when we saw all that snow and ice fall across the area. But as we move ahead into the next several days, we're looking at a taste more of spring than winter. So let's dive in and show you what's going on. Warmer temperatures are coming up, as warm as the mid-60s over the next couple of days. Not necessarily tomorrow, although we could see some areas get to the upper 50s tomorrow afternoon. We've got a lot of sunshine. We've got a little bit more wind over the next several days and a pretty dry forecast. So it's a lot of what looks like typical spring-like weather for a lot of the big country, even though we are now in early January. Some clouds moving in from the west. Those aren't really going to do much. I'll show you that futurecast in a minute. Right now, for the most of the state, though, things are pretty quiet. Skies are quiet. Weather's quiet. Not expecting any surprises tonight, so you can rest easy knowing that outside. A beautiful night, but also a little on the cool side in the mid-40s out there for Abilene. It's been a little bit chillier, especially for our western counties. And I think this is because of the snowpack that fell. You guys saw a little bit more snow than the rest of the big country. It's still down, and that has a habit of cooling things off and keeping high temperatures low. So while the rest of the big country saw upper 40s and lower 50s this afternoon, I think we saw even some upper 30s out there for high temperatures for you guys out west. So it has been a tale of two areas of the big country, but otherwise it is going to be a little chilly tonight. Heading into tomorrow morning, some could stay at or just around freezing. I'm expecting most of us to be up in those mid-30s to upper 30s for overnight lows. So it won't be cold. We're not talking teens or 20s, but it will be definitely on the sweater-worthy or jacket-worthy start to the day. So make sure you're ready for that. Lunchtime around 50 degrees by the afternoon. We're talking mid to upper 50s, even maybe, like I was saying, a couple upper 50s and lower 60s out there, especially the further southeast you are, a little bit closer to warmer air there. So it will be a beautiful day coming up for the big country, pretty much right on par for seasonal temperatures this time of year. So great weather on the way, lower 40s by 10 o'clock tomorrow night, which is pretty much where we're at right now. So a very similar day to today coming up tomorrow. And I want to talk about precip and how we closed out the year of 2020. We saw a lot of rainfall, especially in the first half of the year, but through the last 3 or 4 months, we saw a lot of flat lines here, and every little bump here is a rainfall event. But the good news is, because of this, about an inch of rainfall and snowfall across the year that put us up about an inch and a half above typical normals for Abilene, at least in a lot of the big country. So all in all, it was a pretty good year for rainfall across the big country. I know we had periods of extended dryness, but we saw a lot of rain early in the year, and that definitely helped keep us up above average for the entire year in general. Temperatures over the next several days warming back up into the low to mid 60s through about Tuesday. Cold front pushes through Wednesday, and then temperatures will start to drop heading into late next week. But for now, we're looking at that cloud deck, like I was saying earlier, push on through the big country. No rain, no showers, no snow, nothing of that. It'll just be some passing clouds through tomorrow morning. More sunshine again tomorrow, just like today. Very calm day as well, looking at 5 to 15 miles an hour for those winds. So beautiful day coming up tomorrow night again. More cloud cover moving through the area, but not expecting a cloudy day by any means for your Sunday. So mild and sunny Sunday, pretty warm actually start to the week next week, with another cold front as we move into the second half of next week. Could cool us off into the 50s and 40s again for the big country. Dan?
As always, thank you, Dylan. We're continuing our countdown of the best stories to come out of Abilene this past year. Our Jessica Rank has the final 5 of our top 10, a list of the key city's most positive moments of 2020.
Even through times of darkness, this year the Key City did what it does best, stepping up to help one another. The Paramount using their marquee to spread messages of hope and unity.
The first message we put up, it was something to the effect of stay healthy and we love you. And we thought, okay, we'll just put that out and we'll put up on social media so people can see it from their homes. And then the next thing we looked, and there were hundreds of shares. The next thing we looked, there's like 15,000 people had viewed the post, and we thought, holy cow, people are in dire need of some sort of message.
Levesque says it gave his team at the Paramount a chance to have a voice and bring the community together. And the generosity continues with number 4 on our list. 2020, a difficult year for nonprofits who had to cancel fundraisers, close doors, and reinvent the way they carried out their mission.
Abilene always has been a giving community and always will be.
Abilene Gives recording its largest year on record. And also in 2020, Abilene reached functional zero homelessness, which means we've been able to get people into homes in less than 12 months. Abilene, one of only 4 cities in the nation to achieve this goal. And at number 2, a special day for healthcare workers who spent months on the front lines battling COVID-19.
Today represents hope.
Hendrick Hospice Director Lauren Templeton becoming the first to receive the COVID-19 vaccine in the Key City. And since, more than 3,000 have been administered. And our top story for 2020 takes us out of the hospital and onto the football field. The Jim Ned Indians taking home the state title after an uncertain start to their season.
It's a great thing for the kids that go here, especially this year being what it is.
2020 brought with it some bright moments. Here's hoping 2021 brings more. In Abilene, Jessica Rank, KRBC, Abilene's local news.
Thank you, Jess. We've got huge news coming out of Austin. Tom Herman is out as head coach of the Longhorns. Dusty tells us who will be taking over coming up next in sports.
This is BigCountryHomepage.com Sports with Dusty Baker.
The University of Texas
This is BigCountryHomepage.com Sports with Dusty Baker.
The University of Texas has a recent history of taking a chance on a coach and then quickly yanking them from their position after a lack of satisfaction. After Mack Brown left the Longhorns, took a chance on Charlie Strong, a loss to Kansas, and Strong was out in his third year. In came Tom Herman in 2017. His team smashes Colorado in the Alamo Bowl, will end up ranked, but today it was announced he is officially out as head coach. The Longhorns head coach of the last 4 years was fired earlier this morning by Athletic Director Chris Delcani. The official statement from the university went like this. With our football season coming to a close, our Vice President and Athletics Director Chris Delcani has evaluated the UT program's strengths and weaknesses and where the program is relative to our goals. While we have measured progress during the past several years under Tom Herman's leadership, Chris has recommended the university president Jay Hartzell that UT make a coaching change to get us on track to achieving our ambitious goals. President Hartzell and the chair of our Board of Regents, Kevin Eltiff, concur with this recommendation and have approved the change. We thank Coach Herman for his service and dedication to our student athletes, our program, and our university. Coach Herman, in his 4 years at Texas, went 32-18 with a perfect 4-0 bowl record. He spent his first 2 years of head coaching with Houston. His buyout will cost $15.4 million. And Texas has named his replacement. It will be Alabama offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian. Sark was the head coach of Washington for 5 years and USC for 2. He is a 46-35 overall record. It's an interesting move to say the least, but he has had significant success with Alabama as their offensive coordinator. He's had his flaws, notably with struggles with alcoholism, but Sark has proven he knows how to do the job in the past. Now Texas is giving him a second chance to run one of the blue bloods of college football, and of course we will see how that pans out for Texas. A day after the playoff, the Texas A&M Aggies feeling like they were slightly snubbed, and tonight those 5th-ranked Aggies taking on Mack Brown's North Carolina Tar Heels in the Orange Bowl. Here's a look at the score of this one from Miami. The ASU men are back in action this new year and are immediately kicking it off in the Southland Conference play. The new year, of course, looking a little different with social distancing and games being played in the Teague, but the weight of these games mean the exact same that they always have. ACU hosting Lamar this afternoon, and ACU trying to get on the board early in this one. Good ball movement around the key, and Corion Mason with the layup. The reverse layup gets it in. ACU with a 2-point advantage. A little bit later on, though, Lamar on the other end here. It's Anderson Kopp with the jumper, and this game is tied at 2. A little bit later, Lamar trying to take the lead now, going back to the court, and it's Avery Sullivan. Sullivan draws the foul on the jumper, gets it to knock in, gets the and one. Lamar takes a 3-point lead until this. Arian Simmons for ACU gets the layup. ACU back down by just a point. Makai Morris takes the ball, reverse layup here, gets it to fall in. ACU retakes the lead on his fast break layup. Then Morris, very next play, Pleasant to Morris. From the wing, knocks it in. That's a 3-pointer. Wildcats extend their lead to 4. Sullivan on the other end, though, hits the jumper, and Lamar just like that trails by 2, but ACU would respond yet again. This time it's Colton Cole, the big man, lays it in. ACU back up by 4, and ACU secures the win. Number 1 in Southland Conference play. They defeat Lamar 83-65. And breaking news this evening, the Dallas Cowboys have officially extended offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to a multi-year deal. All right, that's the sports. Let's go back to the desk.
Thank you, Dusty. Sunday night on NBC, the Philadelphia Eagles are hosting the Washington football team in the NFL's final game of the regular season. Our Football Night in America team, Mike Tirico, Tony Dungy, and Rodney Harrison, dive deep into the important matchup that will help decide who wins the NFC East.
Game 256, last one of the NFL regular season, and it's Washington with a chance to get in with a win against the Philadelphia Eagles. So many issues on both sides. Let's start with Washington. They're the team in the must-win situation.
Yes, Ron Rivera has done a tremendous job getting these guys to this point, but they desperately need Alex Smith to be back. Their defense is playing well. They haven't gotten the solid quarterback play, though.
Yeah, Antonio Gibson, he's back. He looks good. So I say if Alex Smith can't play, I don't give him too much of a chance, Mike.
Look forward to watching Jalen Hurts, who's come in the lineup and done some good things for Philadelphia against that Washington best of the bunch, their front 4. See you for Sunday Night Football on NBC.
If the Washington football team wins tomorrow night, they win the NFC East. However, if the Eagles win, due to tiebreakers, whoever wins the Cowboys-Giants game tomorrow afternoon will claim the NFC East title.
Coming up after the break, we've got a beautiful rest of the weekend and week coming up next week. All that forecast coming up next.
Bigsby has been an Olympic pin collector since
You're watching KRBC, Abilene's local news weekend.
By definition, pin trading is an act of buying, selling, and exchanging collectible pins. It's very popular at the Olympics, and our Andrew Martin tells us what makes this tradition so special.
80-year-old Don Bigsby has been an Olympic pin collector since 1980. He estimates that at one point he had about 20,000 pins.
I had in my cellar pin boards up on the wall my grandfather made for me, frames. I had thousands and thousands of pins from Olympics all the way back into the 20s and 30s.
Don Bigsby is the president and founder of Olympin, the world's largest Olympic collectors club. He started it in 1982 with 7 members. Now the club has roughly 500 members in more than 30 countries.
What I do is out of pride, really. I mean, I started this thing from nothing 38 years ago and built it up into this organization that's finally acknowledged by the IOC and even the USOC.
Believe it or not, Olympic pin trading actually dates back to the year 1896. That makes it more than just a hobby, it's a tradition. And it comes with a lifetime of stories for Don Bigsby and the members of Olympin.
I've had many people write me and say, I was on eBay and I bought this pin, what's it worth? That's not the pleasure of the hobby. The pleasure of it is the people, meeting them, interacting with people, learning about the world. I mean, all the things I've learned, I didn't learn in high school because I didn't really pay attention probably.
On the journey to Tokyo, I'm Andrew Martin.
And as we push ahead into your Sunday and week coming up next week, temperatures tomorrow a little bit warmer than today, and heading into next week even warmer than tomorrow as we get back up to the lower 60s on Tuesday. Another cold front's on the way, and by next week, so enjoy the warmer weather on the way. Dan?
That's it for the News at 10. Saturday Night Live is up next.
Thank you for trusting KRBC. Have a good night.